Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into Sainsbury's. The SNP are planning a whole new tax. It's the tax on shopping. Yep, when you go to the shops, you're going to pay an extra tax. Now, this tax will only be payable in Scotland. It will only be added to the prices of Scottish goods in Scottish stores. So if you are living close to the border, remember all you have to do is drive a few miles south and go to Tesco's or Asda or Waitrose if you're fortunate enough, and do so south of the border in England, and things should be just a little bit cheaper. Why are they doing this? Well, if they could tax fresh air, they would. They're desperate for money, and so they're going to put this tax onto supermarkets. And of course, what they forget is that businesses do not pay tax. Businesses collect tax. And so what happens is they're slapped with an extra tax. Well, they put it onto the price of goods. You will be paying this tax every time you go shopping in a Scottish supermarket. Let's have a look at this, see what's going on, and see the latest madness designed to impoverish and create more misery. Here goes. Right, the SNP plan tax on shopping. A backlash as ministers consider a new levy on supermarkets. And they fear costs will be passed on to customers. Please don't fear that that's going to happen. Please be aware that that is exactly what's going to happen. When you put a charge onto a company, that company passes that charge onto the customers. Ultimately, the customers pay it. And so what you're doing by calling it a supermarket tax is saying a shopper's tax. You're taxing shoppers just a little bit more. Obviously, for a lot of goods, they're paying VAT, but for some items not. Obviously, basic foods, not VAT. Some foods, plus VAT. It's all to do with the cake and biscuits. Very famous HMRC costs. Where they tried to prove that a chocolate biscuit is a luxury item, therefore attracts VAT. A plain biscuit does not. And then they wanted to tax Jaffa cakes. And because it was chocolate coated, they said, therefore it's a luxury biscuit. And the people went and said, no, it's a cake. And therefore it is not vatable. And they actually went so far as to make a full-size cake. And they left it in the court for 3 days. And they said, look, here's a biscuit after 3 days has gone soft. Here's a cake. It's gone hard. It's a cake. And they won the case. So Jaffa cakes are cakes and therefore not luxury biscuits. There you go. Interesting tangent. Possibly not. But that is the wonderful world of tax, But this, of course, getting sidelined, is another tax. And so they're going to put this tax onto supermarkets, and the supermarkets will therefore add a penny here, tuppence there onto their customers, and the customers will end up paying this tax, as it ever was. So that's the SNP for you. So if you're one of those people who likes to eat, and who buys their stuff from a supermarket, then your tax bill's going up. Anyway, hard-pressed Scots face the threat of soaring food bills as SNP ministers line up a punishing new tax on shops and supermarkets. The Scottish Government is preparing to bring back a controversial public health supplement, which forced larger retailers to pay extra if they sell alcohol and tobacco. Although you can't argue that all tobacco is bad. I'll grant you that. But not all booze is bad. And indeed, the odd glass of red wine has been shown to be beneficial. So you can hardly call it a public health veto. Anyway, the surcharge brought in £95 million over 3 years before it was scrapped in 2015. But now ministers say they want to consider reintroducing the charge at the end of the year. And the reason, of course, is money. They are desperate for your money. It also led to claims from business leaders that the move would damage town centres and hit staff pay. David Lonsdale, director of the Scottish Retail Consortium, says a new levy on grocers smacks of incoherent policy making within government. Gosh, just imagine that. The SNP being incoherent and not having an absolute clue of what they're doing. I don't think anyone's surprised at that, are we? Anyway, he said it was a bizarre way to behave when other ministers are looking to grocers to help to implement new regulatory measures, including in-store restrictions on alcohol marketing, curbs on selling products high in salt and sugar, and a likely rise in alcohol minimum unit pricing, meaning alcohol is even more expensive in Scotland. And of course, this is a direct linkage to the massively increased use of illegal substances. There's been studies showing that massive uplift in the cost of alcohol has led to a massive uplift in the cost of other escape products, shall we say, get you out your head. And also, again, if you live close to the border, it's worth doing a wee booze run down south to bring it up, because the savings, if you got a lorry full or at least a van full, are significant. Anyway, this comes months after the deposit return scheme for Argo stiffed grocers with a bill of tens of millions of pounds, some of whom are still going through the courts to get this pulled back. A surtax could also have consequences for the state of our high streets and town centres. Escalating rates bills could further undermine support at future ballots for business improvement districts, or BIDs as they're known. And it's not difficult to see bumper increases in rates causing those affected to start voting consistently against bids, which are usually funded by a surcharge on the business rates. Mr Lonsdale added, finally, shop staff themselves may not be immune from the impact of any new surtax. He said that's because staff bonuses are, at some retailers, dependent on the profit and loss performance of their own individual store. The proposal was not mentioned by Deputy First Minister during her budget speech last month. Well, of course not. She wouldn't dare bring this up. If she brought that up in her budget and as a headline issue, they'd be all over that. Taxing shoppers again. More taxes, Shona. Who the hell's Fiona? Fiona Hislop. That's who. But more taxes, Shona. More and more. Grasping. Greedy. They're just so desperate. Honestly, if they could tax walking, they would. Ms Robinson has already faced criticism from business leaders for refusing to match the UK government's decision to offer 75% business rates relief to the firms in hard-pressed retail, leisure and hospitality industries. Money that they've already been given from Westminster, but which they decided not to pass on, because I think they want all these businesses to close. If you can absolutely destroy the economy, then people have no option but to rely on the government. Mr Lonsdale said lining up a new surtax on grocers without warning falls woefully short of commitments in Humza Yousaf's New Deal for Business. Well, you can't believe this anything, really. We've got the story yesterday where he got to sign the Cosler Agreement, the Verity House Agreement, and he broke it within weeks. The man's not to be trusted. All this, I promised you, I'll do this. The moment you hear Alibaba say promise, you know it's broken before it's finished coming out of his lying mouth. To him, promises are like pie crusts, made to be broken. It says it sends a message about policy making on taxation, adding businesses make long-term investment decisions based on the costs of operating and the predictability of tax and regulatory decisions. And of course, if you start putting extra taxes onto these supermarkets, bang, the cost of the goods inside those supermarkets will go up because they've got to meet those costs. Surely, as day follows night, and as it's as clear as that that raising the tax will raise the prices. Anyone with more than half a brain can see it. Unfortunately, Scotland is being ruled over by people that are very, very much shorter than half a brain rattling around inside their stupid heads. Coming up. Like all left-wing governments, they seem to think that you can target tax onto companies. You can raise corporation tax. You can raise a levy on a product. And they think that the companies affected will be paying that tax. But companies, as I say, do not pay tax. Companies collect tax. Any tax burden placed upon them, they pass on in the form of uplifted costs to the customers. It's not difficult to see this, surely. And so they have this position where the customers will be paying more. You, the shopper, will be paying more. Simply for the privilege, I suppose, of shopping in Scotland. Well done. What a way to go and destroy a very vital industry. I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button. Do please ring that bell. Leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.